Hello, this is Angelique, and you're listening to We're Booked Up, a segment of the Gaston Speaks podcast wherein Kendall, Andrew, and I discuss books. For this episode, we'll be discussing Murder Road, a supernatural thriller by Simone St. James. There will be spoilers. But first, what have we been reading or watching?
I forgot this was going to be a question.
Even though it's the same question every time?
Every time.
I saw Wicked.
Oh my god, I saw
so
Wicked
good.
twice.
It's so good, y'all. It really, really is.
I cried
loved
so hard.
it.
5 stars.
5 stars. Oh, 5 stars. It was so good.
I
And I was worried. And I'll tell you, I've told so many people this. I am not up until this point, have not been the biggest fan of Ariana Grande. And when they announced her, I'm like, I don't know. And up against Cynthia Erivo, you know, she was great. It was so good. So it's definitely also a theatrical experience. You guys see it in theaters.
absolutely see it in theaters. They sound so good together.
Mhm.
I cannot believe how good they sounded together. I know this is probably not going to be your jam. Maybe. You did Agatha all along, but there's a musical element. But Wicked was so
My
good.
dad liked it, and he's not a musical person and not like a Wizard of like fantasy type person. He reads like William Kent Kruger and Lee Child, you know, that kind of stuff. Like he would hate this book too because because of the paranormal element. Like it's not his thing, but he really liked Wicked. So I feel like it's a universal type film.
It's beautiful. And the only thing that I am sad about is that the audience in the theater was lame. No one reacted loud. No one was laughing.
Really?
There was no like interaction between the audience.
Ours
And
was
that is
totally
not
in.
the movie's fault. That is our lame audience.
Our audience was awesome. We even
Oh,
clapped
good.
at the end like it was a finale, and you could tell
Aw.
like when I guess this is a spoiler. So spoiler, but like in the end when she's flying through the woods and you see the final unveiling at the final note of Defying Gravity, people were going, like you could hear it in the crowd. Yeah, our crowd was awesome. We were packed full, and it was great. So it does make a difference. Your
I'm
audience.
trying not to cry right now. It was so impactful. Okay.
And then I read this last night.
What'd you? No, you did book club. Oh no, you didn't. It was Christmas.
It was Christmas. Yeah,
It was
we read. I didn't finish it.
Okay, so it's not good. What was it?
No.
DNF.
I want to finish it. I just didn't. It was really. I just ran out of time because I had that wedding to go to. James McBride, the Heaven and Earth grocery store. Have you read it?
No, I've
No.
never heard of it.
Oh, okay. He did The Good Lord Bird. He's a National Book Award winner. African American author. It's a really it's a interesting book. It's historical, but there's a little mythology in it, and I was enjoying it. I just ran out of time. But the book club ladies don't know that. So Carol, if you're listening to this, don't tell them because I
Carol,
know you're listening to this. Brandy and I totally pulled it off, and they liked it, and they had a great discussion. So it was interesting. But we did pick for next year, and there's some interesting ones coming up. So
Yep.
hopefully I'll have some good stuff to talk about in our next season.
Yes. One side note, Carol said she's going to read House in the Cerulean Sea.
Oh, I think she'd like it.
I think she will too. Okay, so back to the original question. I did finish Remarkably Bright Creatures finally.
And that's one of our book club picks.
For me, it was a 5-star book. I loved it so much. Do not read it, Angelique. Andrew, I'm not really sure. We'll find out.
My mom actually met the author
Yes.
at the Mary Alice Monroe weekend, and she apparently is lovely. Shelby Van Pelt. Van Pelt. Every person I know who has read it, Sarah McLean, if you listen to this, my friend Sarah, she's like, you're a terrible librarian because I had not read it yet. Everyone I know that says it's good, and apparently they're making it to a movie, and I don't know.
It's sweet. Like, it's very predictable, but it's very sweet how it all
Sometimes
comes
I need
together.
that. I mean, I'm a sitcom person, so sometimes
Yeah.
I need that. So I'm gonna. That's one of the ones. Brady's gonna be popping in our book club, but I'm gonna try to read that one because I feel like I have to. Yeah, I just from the look of it, Angelique would hate it. Let's read it for the podcast. Kidding.
She wouldn't hate it. It would be like probably 2.5, 3-star book, maybe 3-star because it's not poorly written. It's pretty well written.
That's yeah.
And then I've started 2 different books. We'll see how they go. One is Life After Life by Kate Atkinson, and it's like a Groundhog Day. It's not Groundhog Day because it's somebody basically like dying and coming back and reliving the moment, but their whole life anyway, whatever. And I'm not really sure. It looks really thick. And then the other one's like a stupid rom-com that I cannot currently think the name of, but it's like about a girl who's an assistant to like a villain.
Oh, okay.
The assistant to the villain?
That might be that might be the book.
Isn't it just the Devil Wears Prada?
I mean, no, it's like set in a fantastic, like a
Oh.
fantasy route. Like there's a dark forest
Oh,
and
okay.
magic, and right
It's like-
now it's like cute and quippy, and
Okay,
it's kind of
okay.
what I need right now. I think just brain.
So it's the
candy.
fantasy Devil Wears Prada.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha.
Cool. I haven't been reading or watching much, honestly. Just usual, like,
You're
YouTube
busy.
videos. Yeah,
It's the holiday.
it's the holiday.
Well, no, it's not. It's January because that's when this is coming out.
You know
So-
that book I told y'all about last time?
Yeah. The fortune teller one?
Yeah, Teller of
Good?
Small Fortunes. So
Uh,
it did committed one of my pet peeves, which is a pop culture reference in like a fantasy world, like
Oh.
a pop culture reference from our world in a fantasy world. So I have to get over that before I can start reading again.
oh, so you didn't even finish it?
No,
Oh, okay.
It just
That's
took
funny.
you out so hard.
it was a Shakespeare reference. Yeah,
First of all, ugh.
Okay,
yeah.
well, at least, okay, it's Shakespeare.
I know, but I recognized it as Shakespeare, so I know it's Shakespeare.
Do you think the author recognized it as
Probably
Shakespeare?
it was
Something-
Double Bubble Toil and Trouble
Okay,
from Macbeth.
she may or may not have known that.
Maybe.
She might have thought it was from Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen movie.
Well, then that's still a pop culture reference.
touche.
Very true. Very
Touche.
true.
It's even more pop culture.
All I have now stuck in my head is there was a musical called Something Rotten, and one of the songs is "God, I Hate Shakespeare," and that's what's stuck in my head. Anyway, well, I hate that it took it out of it because we even thought it sounded really like cool,
I know. I
and it's
kinda
definitely an
want
Angelique book.
I want you to pop back in it.
I'll try.
And let us know. Yeah.
I own it, so I'll try. I'll get to it eventually.
Well, you have to. Yeah, you paid for it.
Yeah. You would think that would affect
gonna
me.
say,
in
Yeah,
some
I'm
way.
not saying
it does not affect. I know.
Okay. Do we all answer?
I think so.
Yeah.
What
We've
we
not
were
been as
reading and watching.
productive,
Yeah.
I guess, this last month.
Well, I did watch Wicked twice.
And that was a commit. We had to get in the car and we had to go.
It's like 3 hours each. That's 6 hours
Yeah.
of free time. That's all I get a month with my kids, if that.
So you spent it on Wicked.
Uh-huh. Worth it.
I like it. I like it.
Okay. So I'm going to read the synopsis and then we'll rate it.
Okay, you synopsisize that.
I'll try to summarize it, yeah. Okay. A young couple find themselves haunted by a string of gruesome murders committed along an old, deserted road in this terrifying new novel from the New York Times bestselling author of the Book of Cold Cases. July 1995. April and Eddie have taken a wrong turn. They're looking for the small resort town where they plan to spend their honeymoon. When they spot what appears to be a lone hitchhiker along the deserted road, they stop to help. But not long after the woman gets into their car, they see the blood seeping from her jacket and a truck barreling down Atticus Line after them. When the hitchhiker dies at the local hospital, April and Eddie find themselves in the crosshairs of the Cold Lake Falls police. Unexplained murders have been happening along Atticus Line for years, and the cops finally have two witnesses who easily become their only suspects. As April and Eddie start to dig into the history of the town and that horrible stretch of road to clear their names, they soon learn that there is something supernatural at work, something that could not only tear the town and its dark secrets apart, but take April and Eddie down with it all.
Okay, the last little bit where it's like the secrets are going to tear the town apart. I didn't catch
Yeah.
that vibe at
No.
all. It wasn't like the town committed a crime and was covering it up
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah, I saw several synopses that were like that, and I kept waiting for like this big conspiracy, and it really wasn't.
Well,
And the guy was from the next town over, like 2 towns
I
over,
know.
technically.
It wasn't even. You don't go to school here or whatever from Mean
Not
Girls.
even
It's like-
from here.
Yeah, I'm from here. Oh gosh. Okay,
yeah. Okay.
you go.
Yeah.
You guys go first. I don't know.
All right. So here's the thing. I think a book was fine. If you like this kind of book with a mystery, a little bit of paranormal, the light haunting, sure. This book is fine.
Mhm.
For me, I did not remember it a week after I read it, so 2.75.
I finished it like 12 hours ago, and I don't remember it. So, I just did. I will say it moves at a very quick pace, so it's a very fast read, and it wasn't as offensively stupid as like some of the James Pattersons.
Yeah.
2 stars. I'll do 2. 1.52.
Yeah.
It's not though. It's not the worst thing we have read.
No.
And I thought about like the noise and the death of the Black Widow, and of like the paranormal / mystery / this is my favorite of those 3.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not a high bar to clear, but it's still the favorite of those 3.
Yeah.
What about you?
Probably like 2.5, 2.75.
So we're
Okay,
kind of all
we're
in the
kinda
same, in the
consistent.
2-ish range. Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, there are positives about this book.
Yeah.
I would
Mhm.
if someone likes an easy, quick mystery, I would recommend it to them. Like Pam Petit was saying that she was surprised that I was so meh about the book because she likes Simone St. James. Apparently she's done the Sundown Hotel or whatever was really
Yeah.
good. But I
And
don't know.
Pam likes dark. I don't know how much you like paranormal.
Yeah, so this didn't feel that dark. It did feel a touch paranormal. I will say there were a couple nights where I felt uneasy falling asleep after I read it.
Yeah.
Like the scene where the lost girl's like reaching into the car and
That
they're
was
like
creepy.
driving away, and I'm like, okay, Marcus, you can come to bed now.
Was it a Trish and the eyes were black and there were some creepy moments, and they were more effectively creepy than, like I said, than some of the other books that we read where like there's the one, The Death of Black Widow, where they're all in the room and the witches, and I'm like, I
nuns.
couldn't even picture it because it was just so poorly written. This was pretty clear and it was creepy. Well, even like when they're in the store and the truck pulls up and she pulls up out of the truck and they see her eyes, there were some effective jump scares.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I agree.
Are we ready for the questions?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. First question. What did you think of April and what did you think of Eddie? Our main characters, our POV character and our other main characters.
I didn't dislike them. I liked that there were some layers to both of them.
They had a rich backstory, each
Yeah.
of them, I guess.
She did a decent job of they'd be in the middle of something, and April would have, and I wouldn't call it a flashback because it wasn't an actual flashback, but it would connect to some memory of hers.
Mhm.
A lot of these characters in these types of books, it's like standard cop or standard whatever, and so there was some richness. They weren't my favorite or whatever, and some of it was just far-fetched. Just like, we've decided we're going to, and that's part of the mystery part of it. But I didn't hate the characters. I thought they were interesting. I was rooting for them.
I feel like their backstories were more interesting than their current.
Yes.
Like their current dialogue, what they were doing and saying and why they were doing it. But they were okay. I don't dislike them. I'm not like, oh my God, she's going to be my favorite character. I couldn't remember her name.
I'm like the opposite of you. I didn't really care about her backstory.
You hate flashbacks.
I do. But in this, I didn't see the real point of it. I think she could achieve certain points in another way.
Mm.
So one thing that annoyed me, in the beginning of the book where they pick up Rhonda Jean,
Mm-hmm.
and after they get to the hospital or after they talk to Quentin or whatever, and Eddie's like, you didn't panic at all. You knew exactly what to do. And I'm like, I guess she didn't panic, but she didn't actually try to stop the bleeding either.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not knowing exactly what to do, but I guess.
Also, Barbara Jean every time, like in Reba.
Every
Every time. It's like, not
Rhonda
Barbara Jean. It's like, oh, it's Rhonda Jean. I was like, I couldn't remember. I called her Ruby Sue at one point and realized that's the little girl in the National Lampoon Christmas Vacation. Her eyes go crossed. Rhonda Jean. Thank you. Like, you're talking about the name of the people. It's like, oh, that was her name. Rhonda Jean. Okay. I just like that they could have been very standard with like, nothing about them. They're just a couple. So that's why I appreciate it. And I'm like with you. I'm not the biggest fan of flashbacks. So I liked that it wasn't a full flashback. It was just like a little antidote in the story to kind of give you a little more characterization.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we read some where it was like, we either know too much or we know nothing and they're not interesting. So this was, I felt like a better medium than some of our,
I think that's true.
yeah,
I
some
would
of our
agree
other
with
characters.
that. Yeah, I know you didn't like it, like knowing that much, but I did.
Okay. What did you
Question
think
number
of
2.
Eddie? Do we talk about Eddie?
Oh, Eddie.
Eddie was Eddie.
Eddie was Eddie.
Eddie was fine.
I mean,
He
the
sounds handsome.
Yeah.
PTSD made sense,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is and why he was unsure of whether what he was seeing was actually an entity or not. That was a nice little layer because soldier, particularly in that conflict of Persian Gulf, because not a lot actually happened. Somehow that almost made the PTSD worse than some of the things where it actually did happen. So that was a nice historical detail if you knew that kind of stuff. I do not like the fact that I read somewhere that they called it historical fiction because it was set in the mid-90s. I was like, okay, that's just rude. That's what that is. No, there wasn't a lot to him, but I liked them enough that I hoped that they solved the mystery and didn't die.
I like that he wasn't a jerk. Like they didn't lean too much into he has PTSD, so he's gonna like have like violent night terrors or be a bad person. Like he was just a nice, respectful guy, just trying to do his thing. So I appreciated that.
One of the more least problematic
Mhm.
Yeah,
leads
I-
we've had. I mean, we've had a lot of problematic male leads.
I don't
so-
think he was
No,
problematic.
not at all. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
think he was fine.
good. He was good. Did you have a favorite character?
Rose.
Rose.
too.
Yes, me too. Oh, I
You didn't
loved
like her at first. You told me you didn't like her.
Yeah, I
at first, but
didn't.
she grows on you.
She does.
She
Like
grows on you.
mold.
Well, and that was the purpose. That
Yeah.
was the
Right.
whole purpose. And even like where they joked that she killed her husband and he's haunting the place. Well, it turns out he is, but he's protecting the place.
Yeah.
And that's really sweet. And no, yeah, Rose at first because they made you not like her.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
Mhm.
It's like, man, she kind of rude. What's wrong with her? Like, God. And then you're like, I like her. She ended up being she was the hero.
You know
To
what?
me,
Of
sad.
that
You know what
book.
made me sad in this
What?
book? Towards the end of the book, she's talking about Princess Diana, and she goes, "If anything ever happened to her,
Oh,
I don't know what would happen to
no.
me." And I feel like that was completely
No.
unnecessary.
It just it-
Foreshadowing.
I think that
Oh my God, it is historical fiction.
I think that was something that the author did
Out of-
clearly on
yeah.
I
purpose.
know, I know.
Because, like
I just like too how like I love how they like none of them liked her, but when she snapped her fingers and hopped too, boy,
yeah.
they did.
She's
So
like, "Get out of my house."
That's
I
my-
left.
you
that's
will
my
go. And,
favorite moment.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
you will go get that car,
Yeah.
and you will
Yes.
put it back. And I'm like,
Yes.
yes, you. She just commands. Yeah, Rose was awesome.
Rose
Yeah.
is my favorite.
She's
Great
actually. I mean, when we go back to like favorite characters in the year, even though this will never be near my favorite book, she's gonna be towards it. Like she was a highlight to me. Because sometimes I think we always think about like our favorite characters in our favorite books, but I'm like, no, that's what I'm going to remember as okay. The book wasn't my favorite, wasn't for me. I get that, but that character was rocking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rose was good.
And unlike that one lady in that Death of the Black Widow who had like a 10-second thing that we all liked, she was
Mhm.
actually substantive. It was nice.
Okay. So we all liked Rose.
Yeah.
Understandably. Okay, so about the setting, what did you think of the setting? Do you think it being set in the 90s served the story well?
You can't just look up information. They had to go to the library and drive to the next town over. I gave them something to do because there wasn't a whole lot, I feel like, happening. I don't know. There wasn't.
Photo
there wasn't.
developing, like that was cool
Yes,
that they had
I
to go the
loved
dark
that
road.
scene.
Yeah, so it's
Okay,
one of
I
those.
forgot about it. I like that scene too.
You could transport the major details to any decade, really, but the 90s gave it, like you said, a little like you said, more to do, which I liked, but there was a little more depth in the setting and the background, and it gave you a little more to talk about than, like you said, if they just looked it up on their cell phone, and it would have been,
So like turning off on the wrong road is a lot more believable in the 90s where not all the signs are labeled as clearly. You
Mhm.
can't just Google it. It's not like the author would have had to write in, it's a dead zone. You don't get signal out here.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have to do that with it's late at
Mhm.
night. We were just driving. We thought we were going the right direction. Blah blah blah. I'm okay with it being in the 90s.
yeah, no, that was
It didn't hit me with nostalgia like I
No.
kind of wanted it to, but yeah,
Oh, it needed
So-
more 90s references. But I guess
Yeah.
it had a lot of Diana references.
it did.
but that was it. That was like the only 90s
I remember.
reference.
No, I remember like a Gwen Stefani reference,
Kurt Cobain. There was a Kurt Cobain
Yeah.
reference too.
So amp up
There were
the
a few.
90s references a little bit.
and not
Yeah.
just like pop culture stuff, but like culture stuff.
Yeah.
Could have been nice.
Like the songs on the radio, like kind of like in Silent City,
Yeah.
where there was a lot of music references in Silent
Mhm.
City. I feel like that this could have.
Because wasn't the
Helped.
reference like an old country song? It wasn't like a 90s country song.
Mm.
That was like there was one song they mentioned at some point,
Yeah.
and it was way back or whatever. Anyway,
Okay.
next question.
Next question. What did you think of the mystery aspect of the story?
I have some issues here. I don't know.
It had two things to me that I didn't like. One is there were too many details and twists and too many characters. Like you go up to the lake and there's those people and then there's the sisters and then it is just the other thing is the too convenience. Oh, like he was drawn here because it was his mother's ghost or both of those things I see so much in like mystery or these types of novels, and it just causes me at some points to roll my eyes or like you said to be like, I don't care about this character, so I'm just
Mhm.
gonna skim this. And so that was probably the least I think she did a good job with the characters. I think she did a good job with the setting, but it either I don't know, it felt either I've heard it before.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the two things that I think stopped this book for me. It was just it was a little too long. There were too many details, too many twists, and it all came together. I will say that it didn't leave too many things hanging, which was nice because we also had that situation. But then it's like, oh, he missed a turn, he doesn't know why, but it turns out it's because his mother is haunting the. Sometimes to me, it's just like, okay, that's convenient, whether it's intended to be or not. And then it turns out it's 2 towns over.
Yeah, that feel like that came out of nowhere. It was
Yeah.
suddenly her dad or whatever.
His dad. Yeah.
Her dad, yeah,
dad.
his granddad, yeah.
So that's the kind of issue I have with it. So like one of the first scenes that like really kind of stuck in my head was the idea that the truck passed them on that first night when Rhonda Jean was in the car or whatever, and Eddie looked just like what's it?
Ashen.
Ashen, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
like very stricken. I was stricken
Good
because
word.
he saw the girl clutching, in the back of the truck
Mhm.
or whatever. But then my thought is like, I love that they created this unreliability with his PTSD. So he's really questioning himself, but I feel like he would have recognized his mother. I really, really do. Because they even say in the book he was 8 or 9
Mhm.
when she just didn't come back.
Because when he saw pictures, right?
Mhm.
He recognized it. The grandfather recognized
The
him
grandfather recognized him
because
based
apparently
on
he
the
was like a
adult-
spitting image of
Why
his
did
mother.
he not recognize his grandfather? Like,
Yeah, would he not have been? Maybe he wasn't a part. I don't know. That you're right. There's some.
and so I feel like there needed to be. I mean, she kind of like talked a little bit about it, like when the mom would disappear because she had, addictions. When the mom would disappear, Eddie would be left with neighbors and stuff like that. But I don't remember them saying like he didn't have a relationship with any other family members or being told that he had no other family members.
And clearly the PTSD was not enough where it would have traumatized him to the point that he didn't recognize those early years.
Yeah.
Because you talking about that was a great plot device because it was the unreliability, but that was about the ghost.
Mm-hmm.
These were all people that he would have had a connection to. So yeah, there's just that was one of those where it's like, oh, you know what we should do? We should connect it somehow and make it. And so I've seen so many books like that, and it feels like they're just trying too hard. And like you said, it was funny because Brandy has read this book, and she said. And she was like, I didn't really like the paranormal element. She goes, I don't really mind that. She's, I just would like a good serial killer. It's almost like I would like a simpler
Yeah.
plot, this was one too many twists, one too many new things.
I think I also would have just preferred a good old serial killer.
Yeah, there's something very unsatisfying about it being a ghost that's possessing people.
Okay.
kill
Because
other
she's
people.
haunted, and then
Yeah.
you set her free.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. So you never know for sure if you set her free because they're like, oh, all of a sudden, like the murders aren't happening anymore. But sometimes there was like years in between the
Yeah.
murders, so she could still be active. And 2, this is the ghost of his mother, so we're now making his mother a killer.
Yeah.
So it's not just her reenacting her
Her
own
death,
death because they also talk about is whatever is on hand. So like sometimes it's a tire iron, sometimes it's something, a knife, it's just an ice pick or
Yeah,
ice
ice
something.
pick.
And so I just feel like
Also,
it's making her a bad person.
Yeah.
Unless
if
they
Eddie
do
was
it.
the child, how come April was the one that seemingly was able to talk to her? You know how like she'd be
Mhm.
like, they would let her go and she would say, we're coming back or we're gonna help you. April was the one that did all of that,
We needed the 2 perspectives, I think, if
Yeah.
that's the case.
but April wasn't the kid. Like I get that
Yeah.
the daughter-in-law, but I mean,
Mhm.
it so
But she was also trying to kill the daughter-in-law. The ghost, Shannon Haller, was trying to kill.
right. It was just-
April.
I when I got to the Eddie twist, I almost thought, well, it almost makes sense that like somehow April's mother, like because again, there were several points in the novel where April was seemingly the one that was able to communicate with her,
Mhm.
and Eddie wasn't. I don't know. It just maybe it was the woman part. But then there were males that were killed too, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Mhm.
not just when I don't know that there was just some in order to
Inconsistencies.
have an eeriness, sometimes we sacrificed what was otherwise not a terrible like plot or character. You know what I mean? Like there were just a few moments that didn't quite gel.
I agree. Like she was trying to infuse creepiness where there didn't need to be. Like there was the one moment where April was like, "Don't open the door. Clearly someone's been here." And it was just the little teenage girls putting like a magazine in the mailbox.
Right.
Yeah.
Lucy Foley, the guest list.
Mhm.
Remember all the little jump scares?
Mm-hmm.
And it got old
Yeah.
after a while. It's that same kind of thing. It's like I want to infuse that element in there, but in that case and in this case, sometimes it distracted from not a terrible plot or
Yeah,
whatever.
Like, I feel like it's a Chekhov's gun. If you're going to put it in, you need to have follow-up on it.
Agreed.
But she was effective in creating creepiness because there were a couple nights where I just didn't want to go to sleep.
Stole your phone from a child.
I did.
You did what? I hope it was your child.
You
Yeah.
said you were reading in bed and Phoebe was with you on your
Oh.
phone and you got
Oh.
spooked, so you took your phone back from her.
That is...
That's funny.
That is true. So Phoebe gets like 10 minutes while I'm reading or whatever. It's how I can read. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what I did. Exactly. I was like, okay, Phoebes, we're done. Good night. Night. And I got on TikTok or something.
Palate cleanser. I need a palate cleanser.
Yeah, I was a little creeped out.
All right. Favorite or least favorite moments or quotes?
Okay, I don't have any quotes.
Mhm.
Rose, we talked about that moment. we
Rose
liked.
kicking the cops out, I loved. And then I forgot about the photo development scene, but it was so creepy. And then it totally made sense towards the end when they were suddenly trying to make the lost girl like actually be, productive in finding her killer by her being the one to like pop
Break the
the
light, yeah.
light or whatever.
Mhm.
So that was a very cinematic scene. She did that scene very well.
And a good 90s element, which is, you know,
Yes.
that
So
people-
apparently Simone St. James used to write for TV.
Oh,
So that kind of makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah,
while
that's
you guys are doing that, I'm going to IMDb her.
pretty sure she used to write for TV. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Because maybe we
Yeah,
liked...
and spent 20 years behind the scenes in the television business. Or maybe she didn't write, but maybe she was in TV in some
Mhm.
way and before leaving to write full time. So, do I have any favorite moments? Rose's moments. I liked Rose.
Yeah, I think she's gonna be the star of this book for
Yeah.
us.
I'm telling you, in the end, of all the people, she and Robbie were really the hero. Like, they were the
Yeah,
glue.
they
They were
were.
the center of everything.
They were.
And I loved that if you're going to have a bad ghost, I liked that there was a good ghost. That the spirits there are other spirits out there that are, and some are harmful, but then there are some that watch over you and protect you. And every time they describe Robbie, it sounded like someone you would have liked, you know?
Mhm.
Like, I wish he was my grandfather or my father kind of thing. So yeah, they were just, anytime they were on I almost said on the screen, in the book, it was a better, except for like I said in the beginning, I was like, huh. And then I like that. I like that they introduced you from the perspective of someone else and then gave them depth to realize that was really not the reality. So anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm still looking at some
I love
pictures.
that they made that. I really agree about making Robbie a ghost in the book and like saving her in the end, because I do find it a little bit cheesy, but also I love the part where Rose was like, "I'm never gonna leave my house because I feel like he's here with me," and then you
Mhm.
have evidence that he is there with her.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh."
And not in
Oh.
a creepy way. In
Yeah.
Like a
he's
really
always there watching. Yeah,
beautiful-
yeah.
Oh, there was one moment that I really didn't like. Let me see if I can find it. It was in chapter 25. She's talking about something. What page is that on?
I didn't find her on IMDb, so I'm going to the Wikipedia.
The PDF Wick.
She
PDF,
might
wait,
write
that makes
under.
more sense, yeah.
She might write under a pseudonym.
She was a TV producer. Okay, hold on.
So there's this part. She's talking about Eddie, and then she breaks the fourth wall, kind of, and that annoys me. She said something like,
Oh, she suddenly made it a you.
no, she was like, "Reader, I married him."
Yes. I know exactly what
And
you're
I'm
talking
like, "Don't
about.
talk to me."
This is not an appropriate break the fourth wall book.
Yeah, don't talk to me. I'm not here. Don't perceive me. Yeah. She's like, when I met Eddie Carter, I saw someone who was so different from me, yet whose darkness mirrored my own. Reader, I married him, because it should be me or no one.
Note to self, that applies to all people. Don't talk to her. She doesn't want you to talk
No.
to her.
She does not.
Do not perceive
Whether
me.
it's in book form or not.
I found my favorite quote though.
Okay.
Librarians know everything.
Oh,
End
yeah. I did,
of
yes.
chapter 25.
But April said libraries are boring, so.
April never went in.
Oh.
You know what? I retract. I don't like April.
Her mom also stole her money, so she got what she got.
That's karma. That's karma at work. That element was weird too. Like the money was
that's
gone.
the part I really didn't like about. I mean, I don't care that she had like the mysterious backstory where she grew up in such a way that made her tough and more capable of handling certain situations.
Mhm.
It was going deeper into that backstory where it turns out her mom's in prison.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that was super.
But then at that point, it wasn't a backstory. It was just happening as
Yeah.
They
you
could
know,
have just been estranged.
Yeah.
It felt like the author needed to explain why the mom wasn't a presence in her life.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, her mom killed her dad. I think that's enough. Like, even if he was a jerk, like,
even if he didn't, and their rough childhood, and she just decided to escape, and they were estranged. Like
Yeah.
that's totally. You didn't have to even have the murder part
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
it to be acceptable, as to, especially because the backstory stuff in the more at the beginning of the book that I liked didn't necessarily lead to that dark of a place. It didn't have to lead to. Why does everyone have to kill everybody? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it feels
Murder
like.
Road.
I know, seriously, but I mean, that was one of those extra little details of, I just want to throw in one more little twist or one more, and I'm like, it didn't need it.
I know one thing that I didn't like at the end when they're talking to Quentin.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
Okay. It's not. I actually
Ugh.
don't. I don't mind that they talk. Okay.
Okay,
There's two things
continue.
then. The little bit that I was gonna say is I didn't like that Quentin was like, oh, those Snell girls could work for the FBI. I'm like, no, they can't.
No, they can't.
They're fine. Just they're teenagers. They're fine. Whatever. And then, but the other thing is, I didn't mind the Quentin like story when they came and saw him at the end, and he was really like, actually, I do believe you, and I've heard these stories. The issue I have with it is how wishy-washy he was through the whole book, because
Yeah.
it's like, I'm coming for you, I'm coming for the answers, and then like they would bring him evidence and he'd be like, no, this can't be. And there was not a good medium place
No.
for me to fully believe that he believed that there was the lost girl and that she was
It's
committing
almost
murders.
like she somehow wanted to redeem Quentin at the
I
end.
think so. I'm like,
And
just
you didn't
leave
have
him
to.
wishy-washy.
Leave him
Leave him
in a butt. You don't
incompetent.
need.
Yeah.
Not every character has to be redeemed, because that there was kind of that, like, you know, even the Max Chandler or whatever,
Mm.
turns out he had terminal cancer, so he wasn't having to serve, and like,
I thought that was a result of being
It did.
possessed.
I think it was a
which
result of being possessed.
Makes me worried for Trish.
Oh.
Yeah. Also, how did
I missed
how
that.
did
I'm
April
sorry.
expect the Snell girls to find her? She's like, find Trish. She might be Dennis. She was Asian. I guess it may be easier if she was Asian, but if she married and changed her name.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, she was also supposed to be local, so looking up dentists with the name Trish or Trisha or Patricia.
I guess.
Also,
I
how
feel
does
like
a
that could-
haunting cause cancer? I'm sorry. Now that I think about that, that's the
one that gets you.
one that gets me.
That little detail could be left out.
Like, is there some sort of radiation process when you get possessed? Like, there was no
Ectoplasm is carcinogenic.
Really?
Really?
No, I'm serious. Did you just make that up?
Yes.
Oh my god. Angelique. You had me.
Okay.
Also, is ectoplasm real?
It's ghost goo, isn't it?
But then that makes it not real.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm having a
There are people who
a
believe that it's
unicorn
real.
The
moment.
point is that if he had cancer because of his haunting, I needed that detail to go away, or I need an explanation as to how that works.
No, ectoplasm isn't real. I'm thinking of endoplasmic reticulum. It's a piece of a cell.
Okay.
Ectoplasm is not real, right?
I failed biology, so I don't know who you're. Anyway, now that I think about that, I guess I missed that detail, but ugh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like the Quentin ending. I feel like we don't have to try to redeem everything. We don't. He can just be. He turns out nothing happened. He didn't do anything. There's a gnat. We're just going to say that there's a gnat, and it's driving Kendall crazy.
Well, it's coming over here, and I just feel insulted.
You're being bullied by a gnat.
Yeah.
So, his next question, or
Please.
okay, what did you think of the ending? Was the mystery resolved to your satisfaction? I feel like it kind of ended abruptly.
I guess it was resolved.
I didn't like that fade to black thing with the shooting.
Yeah, same.
That seems pointless. Just whatever.
I
And then
don't-
she tried to trick you into thinking maybe Eddie died until April addresses him in the next chapter.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing also that the grandpa character would come in guns a-blazing like that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he would be a little bit smarter, a little bit sneakier, unless, I don't know.
Well, I mean, they explained that with the brain cancer thing. It made him aggressive and
Oh,
poor
yeah.
impulse control.
Did he run into a ghost?
Okay,
his
well-
daughter.
I know, but like,
Okay,
I'm
well
just
then,
wondering if like he at some point had been. Anyway,
So here's what I think should have happened. They should have introduced Eddie realizing that Shannon Haller was his mother and then trying to prove that the lost girl is his mom. And then even at that point, you can cast doubt. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you were 8 or 9 and this person had a baby, like, or whatever, like at that point. But he could have, I think he should have confronted the father figure earlier, the
Mhm.
grandfather or
Yeah.
whatever, and not say, hey, I think you're my grandpa or anything like that, but just like be in on the interview or whatever. And then maybe that could help explain some of the progression, because this guy just was like, you were in front of my house and you stole something from me and I'm gonna shoot you.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
that's
a great
great.
impression.
Thanks. I'm an actor.
Well, I will say the fade to black thing sounds like a movie or TV.
Yeah,
Like that's
it
where that
does.
came from. And then that's fine if that's how you interpret it in the movie or TV, but it's weird in a book.
Okay, I would like to read the first half of my notes for this book.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Number 1. Eddie obviously went to Atticus Line intentionally. Well, we found out he was kind of like in a stupor.
He was going to be possessed because he's going to get brain cancer.
Is his mommy giving him cancer? Oh, page 192. Page 192. Halfway through, Shannon is clearly Eddie's mom. Number 3. So what? Number 4.
I love it.
Just why. Number 5. Is there another book? And then that's the end
Yeah,
of
it does feel like she's setting it up for like a series,
Hmm.
but maybe not like a book series, but like a TV series,
Mhm.
What, they're going to haunt
Like
the
a-
mall they're building?
I feel like it's
Maybe.
maybe I don't know.
or
like an
or maybe they decided to
anthology
travel the
feeling.
country and they keep running into ghosts.
Oh, they're
Are they all family members? How many cancers can these one people get before the...
Who knows?
I don't know.
I don't
The
know.
whole weird thing about the mall, and then like, well, there'll be more bodies.
Because malls are evil, apparently.
Not in the 90s. Malls
Not
were
in the-
awesome
I
in the 90s.
loved the mall in the 90s.
Well, the weird thing also too was like at Quentin at the end was like, I'm gonna wait until just before they die because that's when they suddenly remember everything. Like,
Yeah.
that was a dumb plot point. I don't believe it to be true.
Yeah.
So
Also, that mall came up real fast.
Well, no, they say it was a future place for the mall, so they're going to be digging stuff up.
Still,
digging up
like,
the
all these
bodies.
murders are happening, and suddenly in the middle of that, I'm going to buy this land and build a mall. Like, I don't know, something about that was just a weird detail.
The city might have sold it just for that purpose to maybe like reduce the murders.
Maybe the city is conspiracy against.
Maybe.
Maybe, okay, so yes. Then there should have been more information about the mall and the town. Like, could be yes.
And she could have like amped it up. Like there could have been more murders because she somehow knew
Mhm.
that there was something happening. Like maybe they'd already broken ground somewhere, and she realized that if those bodies get discovered, they might not ever actually focus on her anymore.
That's better. Let's go
Yeah.
with that.
Because otherwise, it's just a weird throwaway detail.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes that works. Sometimes you need that. But this was like the ending.
Yeah.
This is the end of your book. This is your chance to say what you want to say. They're going to build a mall.
Okay.
It feels like you've got mail where they're like, it'll be something really depressing, like a Baby Gap. And if you don't never seen that movie,
Uh-huh.
that's what that felt like, just like a throwaway comedic line.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just super focused right now on the whole like fixing the book and like because then now there could be a mayor character who's breathing down the like detective's necks to get things all like wrapped up. So
Yeah.
they really want. That's why they would be putting pressure on these two random people who brought in the girl who was bleeding because
Yeah.
it made no sense that they were suspects
Yeah.
at all. But
Is
if
the mayor
there's
a cousin or something?
well, if the mayor's wanting the mall, he might have cancer.
Yes, yeah, there's no doubt.
Yes, then it could have a little bit of a political.
Yeah. A little political
Tinge.
corruption.
Yes,
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I like this book. Okay, let's do that.
A desperate ghost instead of one who's just been angry for a really long time.
I know. Well, she's about to have a mall built up on her or whatever. Yeah, I'd be angry too.
This is like a slapstick routine. You two are cracking me up. I don't know why. I love it. It's awesome. It's
I'm
awesome.
so serious.
I know you are. That's why it's funny.
We made this a 3.5-star book.
Yes.
You also added like 75 pages to it.
No, we're gonna take out some of the other
Oh,
stuff.
good,
and we're
okay,
gonna add
okay.
in, like, I don't know. There was some like I don't really fully understand the point of Cal Syed like feeding them information, but
Good cop.
not. But then also following them. Like it just got drawn out.
I think he was supposed to be like a contrast to Quentin and Beam, but
I
it
feel like
work
they
out.
didn't connect enough back to like the house where the wayward Hitchhikers, and
Mhm.
that was another
On
one
the
that
beach.
yeah,
Dr.
that they felt
Beach.
like there was a lot building up there, and then not much really came of that.
Other than that's where Shannon was, right? Like when she called her dad to like.
Yeah.
But
"Come
that's a
on
lot of
down."
pages,
Yeah,
I guess, to build the setting. But then it's not the most.
you're right. There was a lot of focus on the kids. I guess they were the red herring.
Yeah, I
I
guess
guess.
so. But then that red herring immediately went away. Like they
Yeah.
really didn't mention it much later.
Well, it's the reason there were so many people walking up and down that
True,
road. Because if
true.
the townspeople are not going to be walking up and down that road, but the idea that there's a random beach somewhere in the 90s that draws people in is a little weird.
Yeah. I don't know. That was just one that was felt so heavily focused on, and then
But if the mayor's trying to cut down on the transient
but
population,
that did not happen.
they're going to want a mall.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this fits real nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Good job, Anjali.
You're welcome.
If they write a sequel about Rose, they should call it Rose's Turn. It's a Gypsy reference.
Oh, I've never seen Gypsy.
Okay,
I'm
never
sorry.
mind.
Okay. Next question. Who would
Sorry.
star in the movie or TV series? I think it'd be a mini series.
I think it would
Honestly.
be a limited series.
Yeah.
So when I'm reading it, I was like, oh, this is definitely going to be like a Lifetime series. But now I could see if the production team that did Haunting on Hill House did it, it could be good.
Even like the group who just did True Detective North Country,
Mm-hmm.
because there was a lot of like paranormal jump scares. It turns out it really wasn't.
No.
What?
Don't tell me.
Oh, don't tell you. Okay.
I don't know why I'm saying this. Like, I'm going to ever be have time to watch this. I'm like 3 seasons behind on True Detective.
But they had a lot of really good jump scares this season. I kind of leaned almost a little bit into horror, but I
Mhm.
still liked it. Like it was well done, but it kind of had the darkness. It was set up, and so that team would be good. Issa Lopez, have Jodie Foster do something.
Yeah.
As far as actors know, they were all big blank faces, except for the one lady whose name I cannot think of that's in everything. I tried to describe her to Angelique and Bupkis. I can't come up with her name. I'll
Oh,
remember it
sorry.
later.
For who?
Okay, for Rose. Also, I found out Rose is supposed to be in her 40s, and I thought she was only in her 60s.
Yeah, I thought she was older. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she was in her. Oh. Ooh.
Yeah. Did you have anybody for April or Eddie?
Who did
Okay,
you have?
I
We'll
have
just
people.
cast.
I
Okay,
have
cool. We'll
people.
cast them. Who are they?
Also the
Okay.
mayor. Make sure you put the mayor in there.
Please do.
Carrie Elwes. Because he was good in Stranger Things.
He would be so
Yeah.
perfect.
So the character that doesn't exist that we've written into it, we've cast before the character's actually in the book. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
welcome to our world.
For April, I kept seeing Sydney Sweeney.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, that'd be good.
Cool,
yeah.
cool.
Anya Taylor-Joy as the Lost Girl or Shannon
Ooh.
Haller.
They wouldn't have to use
Perfect.
makeup.
Yeah, she's got a really creepy face to me.
She does.
She's great. She's an amazing
Yeah,
actress.
she
y'all.
is.
She's weird
Got a
looking.
Little
creepy face.
alien.
Yeah.
Little ghostly.
As the Snell sisters, I see McKenna Grace and Kiernan Shipka because they always look
Mhm.
like sisters to me.
Oh,
Anyways,
yeah, that'd be good.
I'm
Be
here for
good.
that.
Yeah.
I had trouble with Eddie, then I just settled on Paul Mescal because I've been seeing a lot of him lately.
Sure.
And then for Quentin, I saw Dermot Mulroney.
That's kind of perfect.
know.
Angelique Gold Star.
Yeah.
I tried.
But
This is the
Rose,
only thing I can focus
but
on.
Rose is my favorite
Yeah,
character.
I
like,
had
how do
trouble
we?
with Rose too.
See, because then I was thinking for Robbie, I was thinking of
Maybe Melissa McCarthy actually.
Oh, we use her a lot.
Yeah, we do use her a lot because she's a good actress.
She
Isn't
is a good-
Rose
she's
African
versatile.
American?
Very first. No,
No,
her husband
was. I think that was part of the
That's-
issue.
okay,
is that it was an
okay.
interracial
That's
marriage
right,
in the
that's right.
90s.
See, but then I thought I just watched something with Glenn Turman, who's an older classic actor, African American actor. But I'm like, that would place him like 40 years older than like as Robbie's like ghost because he
Yeah.
has this gentle persona. He's very anyway. So yeah, that doesn't work either.
I had what's his name for Robbie? Is it John Irving? Okay, so
He died.
I know, but
Oh, okay.
duh.
We could cast them.
And when we cast that Ed Asner because we thought he died on the bench, we're like, oh, that fits because he died. Anyway, yeah, okay.
Okay, so there was a TV
I know you're
show.
talking about.
There was a TV show in the late 90s, early 2000s called Everwood. Chris Pratt's like big breakout.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Mhm.
Okay, so there was a couple on it, interracial couple, and the mother character was the very famous actress, and then the husband was I think his name is John Irving.
I think I know you're talking about.
And
I know exactly.
to me, that would be an excellent couple, except she's apparently too old because Robbie was older than Rose. But yeah, that's who I would. That's who I'd cast.
John Beasley.
Beasley! John
But he
Irving!
played Irv.
John Irving wrote Sleepy Hollow.
And her name was Deborah Mooney.
Yes!
Yeah. Okay,
Thank
yeah.
you. Okay,
So you were really close,
I
though.
was so
that was
close.
awesome.
Thank
But John
you.
Beasley is really great.
John
He's been in a lot of
Beasley.
things.
That is, sorry.
And
Sorry,
he
John
even
Beasley.
had like his smile makes you happy. But he did pass away
He
last
did
year.
pass
Yeah.
away.
He was only 79 though, and he did not look 79. Yeah, we really do cast Melissa McCarthy. But you know what? That shows the versatility of Melissa McCarthy.
Like, she could be a cranky, seemingly old lady.
Okay, so she kind of was. Did you watch? No, you didn't. In the cast of Only Murders in the Building season 4, that was this year.
Yeah.
She played Steve Martin's younger sister.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
she was also in Can You Ever Forgive Me, where she played kind of a cranky old lady.
Oh.
Yes,
But
and
they aged her a little up.
Yeah.
but it's almost like a combination because Rose kind of had some funny, like she,
Yeah.
but because Can You Ever Forgive Me is very much a straight drama. She's brilliant in it, by the way. It's one of my favorite movies the last couple of years and one of my favorite performances of hers. But then she can turn on the like
Yeah.
when she throws them out of the house, they can make that a very funny moment.
Yeah.
She can make that a very funny moment.
Yeah.
So basically, Melissa McCarthy's just like, it's like the old school studio system where like they just plug her in everywhere they think she would fit. I like it.
She's an excellent character.
Now we should have a
actress.
goal of every movie or every book trying to find a character for Melissa McCarthy.
Done.
Sure.
I like it. I'm
Okay,
here for
cool.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any other notes? Any other comments we want to make?
Anymore? Who? How come?
The plot, the character, the setting.
That was a good one. No, my favorite
Yeah.
moment on here was when we're like, okay, we'll all say our least favorite character at the same time. It was all bid, yeah.
Oh,
That
it might
was a
be
beautiful-
again.
Oh my God, it might.
I think it might. That's including the murderers we just had in this book. And
Yeah, I like them
2
better.
books ago.
Did you have?
That was it. That was
That was
all
it?
of the notes I took. That's how you know I was reading.
Yeah, I
it,
didn't
but
take a lot of notes either.
There wasn't much to note about. I mean,
It was a 2.75 book.
yeah.
I took more notes last time for the matzo ball. All right.
Same.
To close out this episode, I'm going to promote the NC Digital Library from Overdrive. Through the NC Digital Library, you have access to ebooks, including Kindle books, and downloadable audiobooks that you can access through a desktop browser or on your mobile device through the Libby app. Look for the link to the NC Digital Library at gastonlibrary.org. I will also put it in the episode description. That's it for this episode of We're Booked Up. Murder Road by Simone St. James is available in print at the library and online through the NC Digital Library and the Libby app. Let us know what you think of the book and what you think of what we think of the book. Just leave a comment at the Off the Shelf blog at gastonlibrary.blogspot.com or at gastonspeaks.podbean.com. Next month's book is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson.
Happy New Year.
Bye, guys.
Bye.